numbers, 2.15 ERA, a record of 23-4, over 21 starts, 36 overall games pitched. Something to note, in all but one game this season, she's appeared in every single game the Ducks have played inside Big Ten play. She's been really consistent for them out in the circle, and one of the reasons that they're on this 12-game win streak. In her last 5 starts, she has a record of 4-0.
Take a look at the numbers for Lindsey Grine, leading the team in wins, 23-4 the record. She's making her 22nd start of the season, a 2.15 ERA. And Matthew, pretty similar numbers, maybe even better to what she did last year in 2025 with Oregon.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to beat the number she had last season, 2.21 ERA, record of 30-3. But she's done a really great job here in her senior year, her second season with the Ducks. She's one of the best pitchers in the conference and one of the best pitchers in Oregon program history as well.
So the Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes meeting for the first time in 12 years. Ohio State leads the all-time series against Oregon 7-4. However, the Ducks did win the most recent meeting back in 2014. So as you see, the Oregon Ducks rocking the home white uniforms on this Friday evening. First of 3 from Jane Sanders Stadium in Eugene. Lindsey Grine getting ready to take center circle for the Ducks against Adley Parisian, Abby Wilhelm, and Taylor Cruz, who combined, Matthew, these 3 hitters at the top of the Ohio State order have 60 home runs combined between the 3 of them.
We talked about earlier, it's a very powerful Buckeyes lineup, and all 5 of the top hitters in the order for Ohio State hitting over 300. But if there's anyone that the Ducks want out in the circle to face a lineup as potent as this, it's got to be Lindsey Grine.
So it'll be the power arm of Grine against the power bats of the Buckeyes. Second to last weekend of softball in the Big Ten. The Ducks will be off to Los Angeles to take on the UCLA Bruins next week. Ohio State will be back in Columbus to play host to the Washington Huskies, who Oregon just saw last weekend, Matthew, and they swept Washington, would put the Ducks in a really good position now in second place in the Big Ten.
It does put them in a good position, and this series is really important for Ohio State to try to get better seeding as both these teams most likely going into the Big Ten tournament. So for Ohio State, it's really about making a strong final push, getting into the tournament, and getting the best seeding that they can.
So it'll be the left-handed hitting Adley Parisian to dig in against Lindsey Grine. First of 3 games from Jane Sanders Stadium in Eugene, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks, right here on Big Ten Plus. Grine's first pitch is in for a strike, 0-1. We're underway at 6:06 p.m. here on the West Coast.
Parisian's having a really good season at the top of the order. 385 average, 18 home runs, 38 RBIs driven in from that leadoff spot.
Peel down to third base. And no swing. 1-1 on Parisian. Home plate umpire is Christina Drum. First base umpire, Rick Cohen, and at third, John Baca. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
It's hard to catch up to the fastball of Grine. Like we mentioned, one of the power arms for Oregon and also in the Big Ten. Right now, she's got Parisian in a hole right now, 1-2 count.
Upstairs, 2-2 from Grine. Again, mention the numbers for Adley Parisian this year. Junior batting .385, 18 home runs, 38 runs driven in out of that leadoff spot. 2-2. Sends a high fly ball. Coming in left field, it'll be the center fielder, Ayana Shaw, calls off Amari Harper and makes the catch, 1 away.
It's going to be dangerous for the Ducks to pitch up in the zone to Ohio State because you're going to get a lot of fly balls, but that time Oregon very lucky that Parisian didn't hit it out of the park. We talked about the 2 and 3 hitters, Wilhelm and Cruz, in this order and how many home runs they have, but Parisian's no slouch either at 18, but able to get the fly out for the first out of the game.
So now Abby Wilhelm, the first righty Lindsey Grine will face in this Buckeye order. First pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1.
Parisian's numbers so far in the year are for Wilhelm's numbers: 22 bombs, 46 RBIs, and an average at 365. On base, close to 500 as well, sitting at 491. She walks more than she strikes out. 32 base on balls compared to 26 Ks.
Mentioned it's an Ohio State team that loves to hit the ball over the fence. 110 home runs this season. Ducks, on the other hand, just with 51, so doubling up Oregon in that department. 0-2, close pitch from Grind. Now a ball and 2 strikes on Wilhelm.
You can see Grind's trying to stay away there in a 2-strike count, especially with a lot of these power hitters looking to pull the ball in the air. Probably want to stay to the outer half of the plate, force weak contact.
Wilhelm down on strikes. Lindsey Grind just blew it right by her. First K of the day for Lindsey Grind, and now 2 outs here in the first.
Come out with a fastball right there at 67 miles per hour, top of the zone. Wilhelm just can't get around to it. It's always tough to get to those pitches at the top of the zone, especially the high heater. It's a good strikeout by Grind and 2 away early in the top of the first.
Brings up Taylor Cruz, bases empty and 2 outs in the Buckeye first. And the changeup by Grind drops in for a strike. First off-speed I think we've seen today from Grind, Matthew, and looked pretty good right there.
Yeah. There's a differential of about 11 miles per hour. The fastball we just saw was 67. That changeup coming in at 56 miles per hour. Whole lot of speed differential in that pitch.
0-1, grabs the upper outside corner, and Grind ahead 0-2.
And Grind's locating early and getting strikes in the zone early. It's a recipe for success that all pitchers want to have. See if Grind can put her away here for back-to-back Ks.
0-2, Cruz pops it up. Coming out is Kaylin Jones. Now Ayana Shaw on the run, covers the short gap and makes the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Lindsey Grind and the Ducks. Buckeyes down in order, go to the bottom of the first. Oregon coming up after this on Big Ten Plus. Bottom of the first inning here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Take a look at the Ohio State defense in the outfield left to right. Taylor Cruz, Skylar Lamone, Hadley Parisian. And in the infield, Lottie Landmesser, Abby Wilhelm, Sammy Buick, Kiki Estrada, Reese Cullen is the catcher, or the pitcher in the circle, Lauren Boutte for Ohio State. And now this is the order that you'll face for Oregon. Elon Butler, Kaylin Jones, Amari Harper, 1, 2, 3. Emma Cox, Stephanie Maake, Addison Amaral, 4, 5, 6. And the bottom of the order for the Ducks, Taryn Ho, Ayana Shaw, and Katie Flannery, 7, 8, 9.
This is a powerful Ducks lineup. Might not have the long ball threat that Ohio State has, but if they're able to find the gaps, they can use their speed to stretch those singles into doubles, doubles into triples. With Elon Butler leading off, hitting over 400 this season. And when she's leading off innings, hitting over 600. This is exactly the hitter that the Ducks want to get things started with.
First pitch to Elon Butler. Comes in from Lauren Boutte, a strike, 0-1. Numbers for Boutte on the season, 6.52 ERA. She's making her 13th start of this 2026 campaign, 68.2 innings pitched. That's the second most on the staff behind her teammate Jenna Mulk, who I imagine we will see later in this series at some point in time. And Butler gets a piece, and now after the foul ball is behind 0-2.
Opponents hitting over 300 against Boutte. 340 average on the season compared to last season where it was a 260 average. And a 3.63 ERA for Boutte in the circle. And a little bit of a fall off in the 2026 campaign.
Way up and away to Butler, now 1-2. And it's kind of a tale of the offense and the defense, or the pitching, I should say, for Ohio State. As you mentioned, how much they can hit the home run from the batter's box, but in the circle, a different story. The Ohio State pitching staff, a team ERA around 4.9. 1-2, Butler, a swing and a miss. She goes down on strikes to begin the day, and a strikeout to begin things for Lauren Boutte here in the first inning.
Yeah, that pitch from Boutte way above the zone. Gets Butler to chase at a high fastball that time at 66 miles per hour. Kind of uncharacteristic for Elon Butler, but a big sigh of relief facing Oregon's best hitter, and there's one down.
And now Kaylin Jones will come up to bat. A loud pop of the mitt, but it's high to Jones, 1-0. One of the best speed and contact hitters on this Oregon Duck team. She pokes one the other way, but foul down the third base line.
Yeah, and you mentioned that speed. If you were to only look at the stolen base numbers, it'd be a little deceiving when looking at Kaylin Jones. Only 2 stolen bags on the year, but like you said, she's got that speed, and like I mentioned, it's something that Oregon can use to stretch singles into doubles, doubles into triples, something that keeps defenses on their toes when the Ducks get on the base paths.
Called strike here, 1-2. You talk about Oregon with their stolen bases. Last year, Ducks were just such monsters on the base paths. This year, not quite as much. The Ducks, 42 of 52 stealing bags. As Jones knobs it the other way, that'll be a foul ball. But really what made Oregon so good last year was their ability to swipe bases. Kai Luchar, Kedri Luchar, Paige Sinicki, 3 players that all graduated in 2025. And now it's been a different roster makeup for this Oregon Duck team, and Melissa Lombardi has still been able to find success. 1-2, Jones, a little tapper that will land in foul ground. Diving attempt by the third baseman, Landmesser. And the count remains 1-2.
Yeah, just barely missed the glove of Landmesser right there. Maybe if it was a little better of a reaction over at third base, could have gotten it, but nonetheless, Jones stays alive in a 1-2 count.
Elon Butler struck out swinging to begin the game. 1-2 is the count on Kaylin Jones. She swings and misses here. Back-to-back up the ladder pitches by Lauren Boutte. Sits down both Butler and Jones. 2 strikeouts for the first 2 outs here in the first.
Like you said, 2 high strikeouts on fastballs. Both of them way above the zone. That one at the head of Jones that time. Looked like almost an auto swing decision right there. There's 2 gone. Let's see if Amari Harper can keep the inning alive.
Harper will take a strike, 0-1. Matthew mentioned it in the open, but Amari Harper was the recipient of the golden ticket, which means an auto bid to be drafted in the AUSL Professional Softball League. Amari Harper, very deserving of what she's been doing offensively. She'll ground it up the middle, a bouncing ball, gloved by Wilhelm, the shortstop, throw not in time. And it's just things like that, Amari Harper putting bat on ball and getting on base.
Yeah, and there's some of that speed we talked about that Oregon can use. Infield hit right up the middle. It's a good snag by Wilhelm. Tried for a spinning throw that time, but Harper able to beat that one out pretty decisively. Now over there at first base, keeps the inning alive for Emma Cox.
There's Emma Cox, who was just on fire last weekend at home against Washington. She hit 3 home runs in that series against the Huskies. And she swings here, fights it off shallow right field. Parisian diving near the line, but the ball lands in foul ground. And so just a strike on Cox, 0-1.
We were close to seeing almost 2 web gems this inning. We had the play, or could have been an out by Landmesser over at third base on that pop-up towards the dugout. And then that time by Parisian, trying to make a diving catch in foul territory. Just can't get to it. But it's a strike on Cox, who, like you mentioned, one of the best hitters last weekend against the Huskies. And that big grand slam in game 1, even after the Ducks took the lead in the 6th inning, still a big hit to kind of put it out of reach.
Ducks last week, a massive sweep over the rival Washington Huskies. They won Game 1 8-4, Game 2 5-4, and then Game 3 to complete the sweep 3-1 last Sunday. 1-1. And Cox, backspin shot caught at second base by Sammy Buick. Jumped up into the air and took away a base hit from the Duck catcher. That's all for Oregon. Done with one full from Jane Sanders Stadium. A hit for Oregon, and they leave one on base. Go to the top of the second. No score between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks right here on Big Ten Plus. Top of the second inning here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Scoreless game after an inning of play, and there's the series history between the Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Mentioned it before, Ohio State leading the all-time series 7-4, but the Ducks winners of the most recent matchup 12 years ago.
And it's such a small sample size and only 11 games played. You can expect to see these series histories in the records between Oregon and the rest of the new Big Ten teams coming over from the Pac-12. You can look to see those all-time records with Big Ten opponents, not just in softball, but really any sport, baseball, basketball, football. Look for those to be shaken up a little bit in this new conference.
And it feels like any time the Oregon Ducks welcome a new team to town, it's often a team they maybe haven't played in a while, like Ohio State, dozen years without playing the Buckeyes, or sometimes even a team that Oregon has never played before. So it'll be the middle of the Buckeye order: Sammy Buick, Kiki Estrada, and Reese Cullen against Lindsey Grine. That's a first pitch strike at the knees, 0-1.
Buick so far in the year, 386 average, 7 home runs, driven in 35 runners, 39 runs herself. Leading off innings, hitting .261.
That one grounded hard, but foul down the left field line. And it's 0-2 on Buick. The big series for both these sides. Oregon obviously in second place of the Big Ten Conference right now. They trail first place Nebraska by a game. The Cornhuskers 17-1. The Ducks 16-2. 0-2 on Buick. The pitch. As outside corner, strike 3 called. Buick caught looking. It's a backwards K for Lindsey Grine in her second of the night.
Second K of the game, like you said, Aiden, a perfectly located pitch on the outside corner to get the called strike 3. That's the thing about Grine. Not only is she a power pitcher, but she's got great location and great command of her stuff as well.
Brings up Kiki Estrada, the Buckeye first baseman. And again, a big series for Ohio State because they are in 7th place of this Big Ten Conference. And so a chance for Ohio State to draw closer to the top 4 in the Big Ten. It's very important to be one of the top 4 spots so you can get a first-round bye in the conference tournament. Swing and a miss by Estrada, 0-1.
Grine changing speeds right there on a first pitch strike. Change up at 57 miles per hour. It's so hard to just sit dead red fastball when Lindsey Grine has that changeup, but you can't sit off speed either.
Outside here, 1-1 to Estrada. Saw Lindsey Grine appear in all 3 games last weekend against Washington, when just 1 inning in the Saturday contest was the opener for Melissa Lombardi's team. 1-1, that one goes to the backstop now. 2-1 on Estrada.
For Estrada right now, almost identical. Numbers are not identical. Getting a lot more playing time this season. Last year, only 6 games played. This year, 38. 36 of those being starts. Has seen a lot more usage in this Buckeye lineup. He's been pretty good at the plate as well. 317, 13 home runs, 36 runs driven in.
Swing and a miss here by Estrada, now 2-2. Grind goes with a high heat at 68 miles an hour on the gun. Bouncer left side. It'll be fielded in foul ground by Katie Flannery, just to the left of the chalk. And we'll do the 2-2 again. And a swing and a miss by Estrada. She's down on strikes. Third K of the night for Lindsey Grind. She's got back-to-back here in this second inning.
What a way to get 2 outs. Do it with 2 strikeouts. That one a fastball at the top of the zone. It's so hard to get around to those high heaters, especially with a power pitcher like Grind on the mound, and Estrada climbs the ladder that time. Can't get bat to ball, and there's 2 away.
So Ohio State looking to get someone on base. Lindsey Grind has retired the first 5 Buckeyes in a row. Here's Reese Cullen, the catcher. One's up and outside, 1-0. Or Reese Cullen this season. Freshman playing behind the dish, batting .208. 5 runs driven in and 2 home runs.
And not the largest sample size either. Only 24 at-bats on the year.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. Cullen making just her 9th start on the season. As the Buckeyes are playing in their 47th game as a team. 1-1. Up and outside. 2 balls and a strike.
Looks like Cullen's going with a no-stride approach at the plate. See some hitters with a lot of different timing mechanics. Some with a toe tap, leg lift, normal stride. But Cullen trying to get her timing down in a no-stride approach, but Grind's been able to mix speeds very well in this game with the fastball and changeup.
Down by the shoes, now 3-1 on Reese Cullen. This is the first at-bat of the ballgame where Lindsey Grind feels like has fallen behind. And time will be called as Emma Cox, the catcher, goes out to talk to her battery mate.
Yeah, like you said, probably the first time this game that Grind has fallen behind a hitter, especially like this in a 3-1 count. For Cullen at the plate, it's probably looking for something in the heart of the zone, not really looking at anything on the corners, trying to get to the edges of the zone. But, hey, if you get something middle in, take a swing at it and try to do some damage.
So Lindsey Grind, after the stoppage, steps back up to the slab. Scoreless game early on in the top of the second inning. And the 3-1. Cullen will take a strike at the letters. And now the count fills 3-2.
Yeah, I talked about how Cullen's probably looking for something middle in, but that time Grind able to locate it on the corner. Now in a 3-2 count, Cullen's got to protect.
Payoff pitch. Cullen pops it up foul and out of play right side. Base is empty with 2 outs. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Close pitch upstairs for ball 4, and Ohio State gets its first runner on base of the day. A full count walk to the catcher, Reese Cullen, with 2 outs.
Grind just missed the up and outside corner that time. Good job by Cullen to get ahead in the count and to stay alive in a 3-2 count and work the walk. A very quality at-bat to keep things alive for the Landmesser, the third baseman, coming up right now.
Lottie Landmesser up to bat. The runner on first and 2 down. She swings here, pops it up. It'll go foul. Catcher Emma Cox gave it a quick look. And into the concourse on the left side. 0-1 now.
For Landmesser, a 206 average on the year, 6 home runs, 14 RBIs. There's a pretty significant drop-off in hitting for the 6 and 7 hitters in this lineup. Everyone else hitting over 300 for the Buckeyes, but for Landmesser and for Cullen, the only hitters below 300 right now in the lineup.
Swing and a miss. Grind goes with a changeup. Has Landmesser out in front now, 0-2.
Swung over the top of that one and was ahead, too. Another 2-strike count for Grind. See if she can put Landmesser away.
Landmesser pops it up. Lindsey Grind calling for it. The pitcher makes the play. 2 more strikeouts in the inning for Lindsey Grind. Also catches the high fly pop-up. And we're done with an inning and a half from Eugene, Oregon. No score between Ohio State and Oregon. Bottom of the 2nd inning coming up next on Big Ten Plus. Bottom of the 2nd inning, and a perfect day, nearly perfect here in Eugene, Oregon. 63 degrees at first pitch, 42% humidity. Matthew, I'd say it's pretty good softball weather here at the Jane.
Pretty good softball weather indeed, Aiden. Something, though, to take note of. The wind currently blowing out towards center field at 12 miles per hour. We mentioned the Buckeyes, a very powerful team at the plate. Maybe the wind can help them turn some of those weak fly balls into long balls here today at the Jane.
No hit so far for the Buckeyes, and it is the Ducks' turn to hit in the bottom of the 2nd inning. They'll have 5, 6, and 7. Stephanie Maake, Addison Amaral, and Taryn Ho up against Lauren Boutte, who struck out 2 Ducks in the 1st inning. Now here's Maake, who has really been improving as this season has gone along. Started really slow out of the gate, but has since picked it up. Now batting .317 on the season. She was well below 200 for a long portion of the year.
She's had some big hits and some big moments for the Ducks. She had a really good freshman season last year, and following it up with an impressive turnaround, like you said, Aiden, was hitting around 200 in the beginning part of the season, but has done a really good job working up to a .317 average, which is what it's currently sitting at on the year. OPS of .919 and leading off innings hitting .381.
And we got a little bit of a slower start to this 2nd inning. We had a problem with the tarp down the right field line near the Ohio State dugout. One of the grounds crew guys goes out and tucks the tarp into place so it's not loose, and now I think we should be all square. So here we go. First pitch from Boutte to Maake. Comes in a strike, 0-1.
6 home runs for Maake as well. Has driven in 34 runners, but very aggressive at the plate. Only 2 walks compared to 11 strikeouts, but does hit the ball a lot. Contact machine at the plate.
Swing and a miss here to make it 0-2. And Matthew, that's something where her game has really improved. It felt like in her freshman season, Stephanie Maake splashed onto the scene as this big power hitter who's always trying to take the ball out of the yard. Still with pretty good power numbers, 6 home runs, is kind of right in the middle of the pack of this Oregon team, but a lot more contact focused. 0-2. Maake with a drive out to center field. Lamone is not going to get it. It's over her head. It's going to one-hop the wall. Maake is struck into second. She'll get there with a feet-first slide. Cannot hold on to the bag. And the umpire's going to say safe. I think they said Maake got pushed off the pillow, so it should be a double.
It's a good hit by Maake, a line drive. Cardinal sin of playing in the outfield is your first step in, and that's what happened for Lamone. It was over her head. Maybe if she had her first step back, could have gotten it, but Maake able to get with the slide. I think you said, Ada, maybe a little bit of a push to get Maake off the bag. Like you said, the umpires ruled it safe even after they reapplied the tag with Maake off the base. The umpires coming together right now for a discussion. Wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to review to try to look at that play again.
I'm not sure if this is a reviewable play.
Yeah.
Matthew Maake, I think, slid a little bit too late. She kind of popped up right on the bag and then lost her balance. But the first base umpire, Rick Cohen, ruled that Maake was forced off the bag, which for the moment, and Ohio State is going to challenge the call, as you just heard. Maake definitely got to the bag before the throw initially, but the question becomes, did she end up staying on the bag, which it looked like she didn't, but again, the umpires ruled it that she was forced off.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what they're trying to look for on this one. Did Maake lose balance on the slide herself, or was she pushed off? We have a view right here. A little tough to tell from that angle with the umpire blocking the view. Maybe a little bit of a push from the second baseman, Buick, trying to apply the tag. Maake kind of came up on that outside part of the bag. Let's go into a review here. This is not usually a call you see challenged very often. It's not something you see very often, you know, running about a push-off. Usually it's pretty decisive, but here, a little bit questionable what they'll come back with.
It's a nice job by the second baseman for Ohio State, Sammy Buick, to hold on the tag of Maake just in case as we get another look. I think, Matthew, was there any separation between the foot and the second base bag at any moment before the push-off? Because then that would be an out, but again, the umpire ruled that she was forced off the bag.
It looks like it's kind of just the natural arc of the tag to me. I'm not sure exactly if it's a push-off there. It doesn't look like there's any real push motion by Buick. Could have been, you know, in that motion, a little bit of the momentum pushes Maake off the tag. By the time the initial tag is applied, Maake's safe. There's no question about that. It's about the second one. You know, if, you know, Maake came off the bag just because she was unbalanced, or if it's more so a fact that she was pushed off, like we said. It's a little tough to tell, because it doesn't look like Buick's making any forceful motion to push Maake off the bag, but it looks like we should be getting the call back in any moment right now.
So an interesting ruling early on in this game, just the bottom of the second inning. This will be the second hit of the day for the Ducks, first extra base hit of the game if it stands. And we'll see. And it has been changed, so Maake is going to be called out on that play. Buick able to apply the tag. Maake comes out of contact with second base, so she is the first out of this inning.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those that it looks like for the initial tag, Maake is safe for sure, but it looks like she loses her balance. It doesn't really look like a push from Buick, and that's what the umpires were trying to look at. Because if it's a push, then it's clear in a way that Maake is safe. The player, Buick, is then trying to force Maake off the bag, but it looks like Maake, just her momentum, took her to be a little bit unbalanced. So kind of an unconventional first out of the inning, but unconventional, or an out nonetheless, and it takes away a runner in scoring position for the Ducks.
So a shakeup in the batting order. Riley McCoy is going to hit. Initially, Addison Amaral was supposed to be hitting sixth for Melissa Lombardi. So it's McCoy at the dish. She'll take the first pitch, low and inside, 1-0.
Take a look at some of these stats for Riley McCoy in her sophomore season. Average been a little bit lower than last year, 178, 3 home runs, 18 RBIs. Coming off of a season where she was one of the best freshmen in the country, came onto the scene, set the freshman record for home runs in Oregon program history with 19, had a lot of big hits, just has not been the kind of season her or her team is hoping for out of her at the plate.
1-1, McCoy lines it foul, left side and off the screen. And now 1-2. Just for Riley McCoy, really hasn't been able to quite get it going so far in her sophomore season. And as a result, playing time has gone down a little bit. Got to earn it back every at-bat she gets. She'll foul it back to the screen again, 1-2.
But, I mean, imagine what Oregon can get to if she's really able to find her groove at the plate. I mean, we mentioned the stats from last season. Hit close to 400, 385 average, 19 home runs, 59 RBIs. If she can get things figured out in time for the Big Ten tournament and then postseason play, it's going to be a dangerous hitter in the Oregon lineup.
He swings and misses. Down on strikes is McCoy, and that is out number 2 for Lauren Boutte and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, now the defense and pitching for Ohio State starting to get some momentum, starting to get some confidence out there in the circle. You get a double taken away, removing a runner in scoring position after that challenge we saw, and then a strikeout on McCoy. Brings up Taryn Ho with 2 outs, hitting 192, but just overall in the season, 365 average. Impressive for the freshman.
First pitch bounces in, 1-0 on the Ducks. Freshman shortstop who, Matthew, for this Oregon team, I mean, Riley McCoy has been one of the players and has been the victim of a sophomore slump, which last year McCoy was one of those fantastic freshmen that came in, but Taryn Ho, I think, is the next class of these great freshmen. She grounds it foul, now 1-1.
Yeah, and things have gotten shaken up in the Oregon, not just lineup, but also defensive alignment as well. I think a lot of people coming into this season were expecting McCoy to be really steady over at first base. And you had a transfer in Addison Amaral, who's one of the better shortstops in the country, especially after losing someone like Paige Zanicki to the AUSL. Would have been huge for the Ducks. But Taryn Ho's been great over at shortstop, as Amaral's been seeing a lot more playing time at second base, first base, third base, a little bit more around the infield. Taryn Ho's been great hitting the ball, good contact hitter at 365. And also great defensively.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Base is empty with 2 down. 1-2. Oh, lines it the other way, but pretty much right at the right fielder, Parisian, who has played in, and that's the 3rd and final out of this second inning. A hit for the Ducks, but Maake gets thrown out at second on review. So Oregon technically down in order in the bottom of the second inning. We'll go to the 3rd. Still no score from Jane Sanders Stadium. Watching Big Ten softball here on Big Ten Plus. Top of the 3rd inning, the Ohio State Buckeyes will be up to bat, 8, 9, and 1 in their order. But so far, Lindsey Grine in the circle for the Ducks has struck out 3 bucks.
You want to take a look at the stats today. Through 2 innings of work, no hits, only 1 base runner via the walk, and 3 strikeouts. Like you said, Aiden, one of the top pitchers for the Ducks and in the conference. I mean, she's leading the Big Ten in strikeouts. One of the best pitchers in ERA coming into this game was sitting around 2.2. Now a little bit lower to 2.19. Not a huge difference, but, I mean, she continues to show why she's one of the best pitchers in the country day in and day out. Whether she's starting in the circle, coming on in relief for an inning or 2, she's just one of the most consistent pitchers in the conference in the country.
That'll be the freshman Izzy Neal, designated player for Ohio State, to lead it off in the 3rd. And she'll take the first pitch in from Grine. A strike, 0-1. Neal, a slap hitter for the Buckeyes. This freshman batting .357. Just 3 runs driven in and 1 home run, but really her game is to get on base. She taps it foul here, left side, and now 0-2.
Just kind of a spark plug at the bottom of the order when leading off innings, hitting .370. And, you know, you mentioned Aiden, only 3 runs driven in, but she scored 23 of herself, only 84 at-bats, but in those at-bats, been really productive in the bottom of the order for the Buckeyes.
Grine has her 0-2. Neal on the outside corner. That is strike 3 called. Second backwards K of the night for Grine, and her 4th in total. 1 down here in the 3rd inning.
And once again, it's Grine's ability to locate the pitch on the outside corner. We saw her strike out Buick on an outside fastball. This time strikes out Neal on an outside fastball. Great location, and there's 1 away.
Brings up Skylar Lamone. Back-to-back lefties for Ohio State. And Grine nibbling at the corner. Doesn't get the call. 1 ball and no strikes.
Lamone, another one of those kind of spark plug hitters at the bottom of the order. .381 average, .470 on base. 18 RBIs and 4 home runs on the season.
One ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Lamone chases another high one, comes up empty. 5 strikeouts in all now for Lindsey Grine. We're only in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, and the start of the 2nd inning, back-to-back strikeouts. Similar start here, back-to-back strikeouts to start the 3rd for Grine. She's able to get the swings and misses, able to locate her pitches. It's looking like a recipe for success for her and the Ducks in this one.
So back to the top of the order for Ohio State, Hadley Parisian. Up to bat, she flew out to center field in her first AB. Starts ahead in this count 1-0. And for Parisian, flew out to center field, as I mentioned. That was probably about the best contacted ball Ohio State had in its first time through the order, and it was a relatively routine catch for Ayanna Shaw in center. So Grine has kept the Buckeyes off balance, doing things like that with a wave and a miss, 1-1.
Back-to-back changeups from Grine. Wouldn't be surprised to see a fastball here in a 2-strike count, or a 1-1 count, excuse me. She's done a really good job changing speeds, and like you said, made it very difficult for Ohio State to put solid contact on the ball. 3 flyouts for the Buckeyes in this game.
Another bouncer in the other batter's box, 2-1.
Those 3 flyouts, all weak contact as well, and those are the only 3 balls that the Buckeyes have put in play.
Three and 1 now. Another close pitch by Grine. Always a tight zone behind the dish when Christina Drum is calling balls and strikes. Got to be on your game if you're in the circle. Parisian fouls it off the mask of Coxon. Back to the netting now, 3-2.
Fans getting loud at the Jane, a lot of momentum behind Grine, and a good job to get back into the count to make it full. After falling behind 3-1, let's see what she comes with here.
Payoff pitch. Changeup misses high for ball 4. Second free pass of the day handed out by Lindsey Grine. Another 2-out walk, this time in the 3rd inning.
It's nearly an identical start to the 3rd inning that the Buckeyes had back in the 7th. You start with a backwards K, then a swinging K, then a walk. I mean, you know, if we're going to have deja vu, this next one's going to be a fly out right to Lindsey Grine.
Now opens the door for a dangerous part of the Buckeye order. Abby Wilhelm up to bat, and she cuts and misses late on the hot stuff from Grine, 0-1. But this is going to be the toughest part for this Duck pitching staff to have to face. 3rd place, 1st place, and 2nd place in the home run department. Wilhelm, the number 1 hitter. Now 0-2. Grine struck her out. That was her first of 5 Ks back in the 1st inning. Here's the 0-2. Wilhelm waves and misses, strike 3. Lindsey Grine strikes out the side here in the top of the 3rd. She has 6 strikeouts through her first 3 innings of work. 2.5 complete from Jane Sanders Stadium, still without a score. Ducks coming up to bat next. Watching Big Ten softball on Big Ten Plus. Bottom of the third inning, alongside Matthew Willinger, my name is Aiden Hess. No score between Ohio State and Oregon. In the circle right now for the Buckeyes, Lauren Boutte has done a good job so far at keeping this talented Duck order off balance.
Yeah, for Boutte, coming into the game is an ERA pretty high on the season. Coming into this game, sitting around an ERA of 6, but been able to get some swings and misses from the Ducks hitter, something you don't see a whole lot from Oregon. This is one of the best hitting teams in the conference, maybe not to the extent of the power from the Buckeyes, but with the ability to put the ball in play, one of the best at it in the Big Ten.
It'll be in the 8th spot, the slap-hitting speedster Ayanna Shaw to lead it off in the bottom of the third for Oregon. Ducks with 2 hits, and the Buckeyes still with none. First pitch up and into Shaw, look out, almost got hit. It's a ball 1-0.
Shaw on the season, .357 average, the lone home run. He's got 12 RBIs driven in as well.
And another off-speed by Boutte, misses upstairs to Shaw. 2 balls and no strikes. Shaw was batting towards the middle of the order, doing a lot of hitting from the 5th spot for Melissa Lombardi, but has since then slid her down a little bit, now batting 8th tonight. 2-0 is a strike.
You mentioned those bottom 2 hitters in the order for Ohio State, kind of spark plug players. That's exactly what Shaw is. Leading off innings, hitting .426.
Cut on and missed by Shaw, now 2-2. Two hits on the day for Oregon belong to Amari Harper, a single in the first and a single by Stephanie Maake, but she was thrown out at second trying to go for 2 as Shaw gets a piece, and it is fouled off the catcher Reese Cullen.
Just limited opportunities today for both teams with runners on. I mean, still pretty early, only through 2.5, but Buckeyes have only had runners on twice, Ducks on once.
2-2. Shaw the other way, lined off the glove of the third baseman, Lan Messer, and it'll trickle out into foul ground. It was touched in fair territory, so it's a base hit for Ayanna Shaw, an opposite field rocket at the hot corner.
Yeah, and it's always tough when you're playing in guarding against the slap hit because you have to be aware, hey, there could be a hard line drive or something hit over your head when you're playing in to guard against the slap hit or the bunt with a hitter like Shaw at the plate. Just that time, Lan Messer can't snag it. Like you said, that one was hit pretty hard off the bat, and it's a leadoff base runner for the Ducks.
So it'll be Katie Flannery, the bottom of the Ducks order. Flannery batting 9th with Shaw on first base, no one out, bottom of the third. Foul it back to the screen. The count begins 0-1. Mentioned earlier how Oregon hasn't really been a huge base stealing team this season compared to the base thieves that they were in 2025. However, Ayanna Shaw, kind of the exception. She's 14 of 16 swiping bags. See if she goes here. 0-1 pitch to Flannery is a strike, 0-2.
Especially in a double play situation for Shaw to go here. Maybe a little bit of a hit and run for Flannery swinging with 2 strikes. Got to protect the zone.
0-2 from Boutte, the pitch. Flannery, fly ball, center field. Lamone trotting over to the left center field gap. She'll make the catch. Throw a strike back into second base and hold Ayanna Shaw to first. A long fly out off the bat of Katie Flannery, now 1 down here in the third inning.
That one kind of hung up there for a while, and Flannery just got under that one, squaring it up a little bit more. Could have meant something in the gap or maybe over the wall for Flannery's first home run of the season. But instead, it's a long fly out, like you said, Aiden, and 1 away.
Turns the lineup over now for Elon Butler at the top. Butler bunts down the third base line. It'll go foul. Interesting to see Matthew Elon Butler leading the Ducks with 13 home runs lay down a bunt.
Yeah, don't really see a hitter with the pop that she has at the plate lay down bunts that often. I mean, she's the single season leader in program history for the Ducks with the most extra base hits a hitter's ever had in a season.
Shaw on first, 1 out. No score. 0-1. That one downstairs, now a ball and a strike. Off speed, grabs the outer edge. Ball and 2 strikes the count.
About a 6-mile-per-hour difference in speed there. 59-mile-per-hour changeup coming in from Boutte. Trying to get Butler to roll over on something to the left side of the infield, try to turn 2.
Here's the 1-2. Butler just gets a piece.
It's a common tactic we'll see a lot of pitchers go to, is changing speeds. Start them off with something slow or fast, and then you drop it to a changeup or speed it up to a fastball. For hitters, it's so hard to adjust, especially in 2-strike counts where common advice is to sit fastball and adjust to off speed. It's a lot tougher said than done.
1-2. Butler, chopper near the bag at second. It'll be bobbled by Buick, and everybody's safe. Looked like Buick was going to have a chance to turn the 4 unassisted double play. Instead, gets no outs.
Yeah, that time Buick moving to her left. It's right back up the middle. Had her left foot on the bag, but maybe was a little bit off balance trying to field the ground ball. Because of that, there's no outs on the play and a runner in scoring position. Single to the outfield could mean that Shaw, with her speed, just scores.
So it'll be a fielder's choice for Butler, and Ayana Shaw able to advance to second on the E4. So the Ducks with multiple runners on base for the first time today. Kaylin Jones will be up to bat. Ayana Shaw on second, Elon Butler now on first, just with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. First pitch to Kaylin Jones. She swings at it, lines it out to center field. Lamone has it sized up in straightaway center. Was shifted over to the left and had to run out to cover that empty grass. Makes the catch, and now 2 away.
That one just not hit hard enough or deep enough to the outfield where Shaw could tag up on it. Runners stay put, 2 away, but I mean, who else do you want up at the plate besides Amari Harper? One of the best hitters on this Ducks team, and for good reason.
Harper takes the heater in for a strike at 65 miles an hour from Boutte, 0-1.
Harper becomes a better hitter with the runners on, 465, with the runners on the base paths and runners in scoring position, 425 average. Compare that to her batting average on the season of 387. I mean, all 3 of those averages, really impressive numbers.
Harper reached base on an infield single back in the 1st. She'll take a similar pitch right on the outside corner again, a called strike, 0-2. Ducks looking to dent the scoreboard first. Both teams a slower start on offense than both of them may like. 0-2. Harper takes at the eye level for ball 1.
We've seen a few swings from Ducks hitters where they're chasing that upstairs fastball, especially in 2-strike counts, but a good take from Harper to change the approach a little bit.
2 on and 2 out. Shaw on second, Butler on first. Harper a swing and a miss, and again, Matthew, that pitch upstairs. 4th strikeout of the game for Lauren Boutte, and she uses it to strand a couple of Duck runners. A hit and an error in the inning by Ohio State, but the Ducks again do not score. 3 full innings in the books. 0-0, Ohio State and Oregon. On to the 4th here on Big Ten Plus. Top of the fourth inning, you're in a scoreless game from Jane Sanders Stadium. Ohio State and Oregon here on Big Ten Plus. It'll be the heart of the Buckeye order, 3, 4, 5. Taylor Cruz, Sammy Buick, and Kiki Estrada against Lindsey Grine, who, Matthew, really so far has been quite dominant. 6 strikeouts through her first 3 full innings.
Still hasn't given up a hit. Only 2 base runners on 2 walks. A lot of weak contact against her today, but right now for the Buckeyes, it's going to be really important to start to get runners on and try to get runs across. It's going to be important for both teams as we enter the middle innings of this game, especially if this matchup is going to stay as low scoring as it's been.
It'll be Taylor Cruz up to bat. Leading off, she flew out to center back in the first inning. First pitch from Grine. Comes in a strike, 0-1. And Matthew, I think that's what has really made all the difference today for Lindsey Grine, her ability to get ahead of these really tough Buckeye batters. Taylor Cruz, no exception. Get another look at the numbers. 0-1, and she flies this one the other way, deep out to right center. Butler going back, backpedaling some more, but near the warning track, she puts it away for out number 1.
I think that's the hardest hit ball we've seen all evening from these Buckeyes hitters. That one just in front of the track. Butler able to settle under it to make the catch. But like you mentioned, Aiden, Grine doing a really good job getting out in front of these Buckeyes hitters, especially with hitters that have so much power at the plate. It's really important to get in command of these at-bats early.
Now Sammy Buick. And she'll take a changeup from Grine, a little bit low, 1-0. Again, that wind pushing out towards right center field. So advantage batter today as Buick fouls it off, 1-1.
Buick struck out looking her first at-bat back when she was leading off the second inning. It's one of 6 strikeouts that Grine has, and one of 2 of them that she's gotten looking.
Look at the left wrist, and now the 1-1. Buick, grounder deep in third. Katie Flannery's long throw across the diamond is in time. That's why the defense for the Ducks was backed up. Flannery there to make the play. 2 outs.
And sometimes it's really tough on those long throws, especially when the infield is backed up, to make a strong throw over to first base. But Flannery's able to do it and throw out Buick for the 2nd out of the inning.
So 2 down and the base is empty for Kiki Estrada. She also struck out swinging and drives this one to center field. Shaw, a long run all the way back. She'll just turn and watch. A bomb off the bat of Kiki Estrada. Home run number 14 of the year. And the long ball coming to play for the Ohio State. It's 1-0 Buckeyes.
There's so much talk about the power of this Buckeyes team, and especially in those top 3 hitters in the order. Estrada can kind of get lost in that. Before that home run, had 13 home runs on the season. Gets a high pitch there and does a really good job not to get under it too much. Puts a drive into it right out into center field. Great approach at the plate. Got a pitch she liked. Not only is that the first run of the game for the Buckeyes, it's the first hit for them as well.
A 1-0 Ohio State with a bang. Here's Reese Cullen. She waves and misses at the first pitch, 0-1. And Lindsey Grine, as good as she is, that is one thing that her and a lot of her Duck pitching teammates struggle with. Oregon as a team has now given up 44 home runs to opponents. Swing and a miss again by Cullen, quickly 0-2.
Something you got to imagine that they'd prefer to cut down on.
Grine looking to bounce back after the home run by Estrada that made it 1-0. There's the 0-2 to Cullen. Up and outside, now 1-2.
That one might have missed there. It was a good take by Cullen on a fastball upstairs, but really good job by Grine to shake off the home run. Get an 0-2 count on Cullen. Now a 1-2 count, but a good job to get back in the zone.
Swinging another fly ball lifted to left. Angling towards the line is Harper. She's got it. On the run for out number 3. But Ohio State able to draw first blood. A solo shot off the bat of Kiki Estrada. Her 14th of the year makes it 1-0 Buckeyes. Halfway done here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Ducks coming up to bat when we return on Big Ten Plus. Middle of the 4th inning here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Take a look at the softball standings here in the Big Ten Conference. And Matthew, we're coming down the stretch. Again, the penultimate weekend of the regular season. Oregon right there in the thick of it in second place, a game behind first place Nebraska, and Ohio State on the outside looking into one of those 4 first-round buys.
And for Ohio State, it's really important to have a strong finish in this final 2 weekends of the series. After this, they go play Washington, who's 4th in Big Ten standings and 22nd ranked in the country. It's going to be really important for them to put together a strong weekend if they want to secure their spot in the Big Ten tournament. For them, it's really all about getting more wins, getting higher up in the standings. For Oregon, it's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to be in that tournament. No reason why they wouldn't be with their win total. For them, it's really about finishing strong and making sure they're able to get one of those 4 bye weeks.
Emma Cox up to bat to lead things off in the 4th, and she hits a liner just foul near the bag at third, 0-2. So Ohio State with a lead. A solo shot by Kiki Estrada made it 1-0. It was a blast halfway up the bob and straightaway center field. And this would be a huge game for Ohio State to win. And the Buckeyes have really struggled on the road this year. 3-13 the record for Ohio State away from Columbus. 0-2, up and outside.
Talk about a 3-13 record on the road. It's the exact opposite for the Ducks. 19-1 at home this season. That only loss on their home field was back against Nevada.
1-2 on Cox, the pitch. Now 2-2. And that loss to Nevada came in the very end of February, so Oregon went undefeated in the month of March at home and have continued that streak into April. 2-2 from Boutte. Cox, high fly ball. Think she got under this one. Left field Taylor Cruz. Now trotting in a couple of steps will make the catch. And a high fly out number 1.
You know, Emma Cox has a lot of power at the plate. She hit that grand slam against Washington last Friday. This time gets a little bit under it. Tried pulling the ball in the air to left field. Just couldn't get enough of that one. Brings up Stephanie Maake with 1 out, who's got one of 3 hits for the Ducks. Was ruled out after coming off the base. She hit a leadoff double back in the 2nd inning.
She'll take a changeup. Buckling Maake in for a strike from Boutte, 0-1. This is the part of the game where the Ducks need a spark. Again, they've been slow on offense. Had a chance last inning, but unable to score with runners on first and second. And when Maake fouls it off herself, now 0-2. A swing and a miss by Maake. Went down after a pitch in the dirt. And Lauren Booty wrapping up the strikeouts. That is number 5 on the game.
Really impressive stuff from Boutte out in the circle. Her 5th strikeout of the game. Like you said, Aiden, 3 hits given up, but done a really good job of commanding the softball out in the circle. No walks to this point.
So here's Riley McCoy again for her 2nd at-bat. And she'll take that one, I believe, off the knob of the bat or off the elbow. Or did it go off a piece of the catcher? Cullen behind the dish. I think it hit the catcher, so just a ball, 1-0.
Yeah, didn't really see any motion by the home plate umpire, Christina Drum, that time, so I have to assume that it's a ball.
And I think that's the call that the umpires are going to stick with. So 1-0 to McCoy. Remember, initially Addison Amaral was slotted in the 6th spot batting-wise, but she never got a chance. She was pinch hit for by McCoy back in the 2nd inning, where she struck out swinging. 2 outs and the base is empty. McCoy will take a pitch dropping low. Now 2-0.
McCoy's last time up, struck out. But a lot better of a job to get in the count here. Hitters count at 2-0.
That one grabs the inner corner. McCoy twisting out of the way, now 2-1.
There's a changeup that time, or a fastball. 66 miles per hour. The pitch before is a changeup at 59, so Boutte doing a really good job of mixing speeds. One of the reasons that she's been able to collect 5 strikeouts in the game.
2-1, McCoy swats at it. Left side foul ground. It'll bounce off the roof of the Oregon dugout. Housed on the third base side, now 2-2.
It's always tough to get to those high fastballs, and I think the word you used to describe that swing was pretty accurate. In a swat, that one way above the zone. Not much McCoy could do with it. Just try to foul that one off. Maybe look for a better pitch here, but with 2 strikes, got to protect the plate.
2-2. Swing and a miss. McCoy down on strikes for the second time in this game. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lauren Boutte, who sneakily has 6 strikeouts of Duck hitters. That'll close out things for Oregon here in the bottom of the 4th. 1-0. Ohio State will play along to the 5th after this on Big Ten Plus. Top of the 5th inning, 1-0 Ohio State, and this is the only offense of the game so far. A 4th inning solo shot by Kiki Estrada off of Lindsey Grine, her 14th home run of the season.
You probably would have thought that a home run would have come from one of the top 3 hitters in the lineup. Top 3 for the Buckeyes in home runs this season, but it's Estrada on the 5th spot, getting the solo shot. Not just the only run of the game for the Buckeyes, but also the only hit for Ohio State.
Now it's the bottom of the Buckeye order. Lottie Landmesser to lead it off, and she'll take a strike from Grine, 0-1. Landmesser up to bat, and then Izzy Neal and Skylar Lamone to follow. 7, 8, 9 in the Ohio State order with a 1-0 lead here in the 5th. Grine's 0-1, and it's up and outside for a ball.
Aside from that home run, that's really been the only blemish on Lindsey Grine's line so far tonight through 4 innings. Just that 1 hit and run off the homer, 2 walks, but 6 strikeouts. And for the most part, been getting a lot of weak contact off the Buckeyes' bats.
And one swiped foul back to the screen. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes on Landmesser. Ducks offense really been in a rut through the first 4 innings of this game, and really have to give a lot of credit to Lauren Boutte, who's been just dealing in the circle. Only 3 hits allowed. As this one's lined out to right field. Elon Butler tracks it and catches it bill of the cap high. A tough line out for out number 1 by Lottie Landmesser.
Yeah, talk about hard hit. It's pretty much the definition of that. Butler just has to move over to her right a little bit. Good reaction out in right field, puts it away for the first out.
Brings up Izzy Neal. She struck out looking against Grine. Knobs it the other way, right at the third baseman Flannery. The cross diamond throw is a good pick by McCoy for out number 2. That ball came off the bat really hot, and Flannery plays that third base position very well.
Yeah, it was a scorcher, and Flannery was drawn in a little bit to guard against the slap hit of Neal, and a good pick on the other side of the play as well. McCoy with a really good dig out there over at first base for the second out.
So quickly 2 down and the base is empty for the 9th inning Skylar Lamone. And time will be called behind the dish. And off speed by Grind, upstairs for a ball.
Elise Sokolsky and Taylor Spencer currently warming up in the Ducks bullpen.
This will be pitch 53 from Grind, and it falls in a strike, 1-1. Lamone swings and misses, now 1-2. Grind trying to set the Buckeyes down in order and get her offense back out there. 1-2. Lamone gets a piece back to the screen.
Another really good job by Grind to get ahead in the count. Another 2-strike count. 1-2 coming up again. Grind trying to put away one more. Get the Ducks back up to bat, like you said, Aiden.
1-2. Roller foul near the on-deck circle. Ducks will have the bottom of their order 7, 8, 9. Siren Ho, Ayana Shaw, and Katie Flannery when this thing reaches the bottom of the fifth. 1-0 Ohio State on a solo shot by Kiki Estrada in the fourth. Lamone pokes it off the top of the netting and foul again.
See for Lamone, a lot of those pitches higher up in the zone. She's able to get her hands around to a lot better than those pitches at the middle of the zone or lower. She holds her hands up really high, making it easier for her to get to those pitches at the top of the zone. Also probably what she's looking for is a slap hitter, trying to hit down on the ball.
Now 1 south. Now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Lamone's a good hitter with 2 outs, 417 average, but Grind, opponents hitting 147 against her with 2 outs.
2-2. Swinging a fly ball left side, foul ground and out of play. Lamone battling against Lindsey Grind. This long at bat will continue 1 pitch more. This nice crowd at Jane Sanders Stadium trying to cheer on their gal in the circle. The 2-2. Lamone liner the other way. That'll go over the head of Amari Harper and roll to the ball. She's got great speed. She'll take a wide turn around second base. Lamone pulls it up there with a 2-out double. And just the second hit of the day for Ohio State. Both of them have been extra base variety.
It's a good swing by Lamone out to left field. Looked like Shaw that time, or Harper, excuse me, didn't really go in on it, but also didn't go back. Kind of stayed put a little bit. Because of that, it's over her head, gets to the corner, and it's a 2-out double. Sets up the top of the order. Parisian coming up. A dangerous at-bat as Lombardi's going to go out to the circle.
Matthew, you mentioned Elise Sokolsky and Taylor Spencer. A pair of righties were warming up in the Duck bullpen. You get a look there at the action for Oregon. But Melissa Lombardi, I think, just going out to meet with Lindsey Grind. She has a lot of trust in her senior pitcher. And just needing one more out to get through this 5th inning. But again, dangerous hitter up for Ohio State, Hadley Parisian. She is 0 for 1 today with a walk. But the power numbers, again, nothing to scoff at. Can turn it on in any moment.
It's also a pretty solid hitter with runners on. Runners are in scoring position. Parisian's hitting .378 with 2 outs, hitting .318. Not bad numbers at all in those situations.
There's Parisian. With Lamone on second after the 2-out double. First pitch. Bounces in. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Watch for that back pick by Emma Cox. Very good at catching runners sleeping on the base paths. 2-0. Parisian takes up and inside. Almost hit her. Now 3-0.
Yeah, had to turn away from that one high and tight. One of the few times that we've seen Grind fall behind a hitter. We haven't seen a 3-0 count yet from her today.
And 3-0, that is a strike. Ducks do have first base open, but letting Abby Wilhelm get an at-bat would be a very tough task as time is called.
We talked about it before this one started, Aiden. It's really going to be having to get through 1, 2, and 3 at the top of this Buckeye order.
3-1 is outside for ball 4. So Ohio State will occupy that open first base. Parisian down the 60 feet after the free pass. Third walk of the day issued by Grind. And now a huge at-bat. Abby Wilhelm with 2 on and 2 out.
She's got the most home runs for the Buckeyes this season with 22. Certainly a spot for her to do damage in with 2 runners on.
Wilhelm, a grounder to third. Flannery going to run over and now throw back to first. McCoy can't handle it, and then coming home to score is Lamone. The Buckeyes add on. It was an in-between play for Katie Flannery. She had the force at third, wasn't going to get to the bag in time, and the low throw unable to be picked by McCoy at first. It's 2-0 Ohio State.
It's just kind of a really unfortunate play by Flannery. Like you said, Aiden, wasn't going to be able to get to the bag in time for the force out. So she's kind of caught in between 2 situations. Makes a throw that's not exactly on the money. McCoy can't dig it out. Runners occupy the corners, and it's another run in for the Buckeyes.
All of this coming with 2 outs for Ohio State. Now runners on the corners now, still with 2 outs for Taylor Cruz, and she one-hops this pitch over to second base. Jones with a short throw is in time to end the inning. But the Buckeyes with a 2-out rally score another run. They now lead Oregon 2-0 going to the bottom of the 5th. Ducks looking for some offense when we come back on Big Ten Plus. Bottom of the 5th inning here at James Sanders Stadium. 2-0 Ohio State with a lead over Oregon. Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Oregon Ducks. They'll finish out this 3-game series with Ohio State on Saturday and Sunday. And then a weekend from now, they'll finish out the year on the road in Westwood against the 8th-ranked UCLA Bruins. Matthew, that should be a massive series determining maybe who wins this entire conference in the regular season. And on the flip side for Ohio State, obviously finishing it out against Oregon, and then it says they're playing LMU, but I believe they will be playing Washington in Columbus next weekend.
Washington's another really good team, 22nd ranked in the country.
Taryn Ho lines the first pitch foul down the left field line. 0-1.
The Ducks were able to hand Washington not just 1 but 2 conference losses before that weekend. Washington was at the top of the Big Ten standings in conference play. Now it's Nebraska at 19-1. But like you said, Aiden, I mean, this could be a really important weekend for both teams. And if Nebraska is able to falter this weekend and the next.
Oh, with a base hit into left field. That's a good start for Oregon. And a leadoff single to begin things here in the bottom of the 5th.
Ducks had a leadoff runner on originally in the 2nd inning with a leadoff double by Maake, but she was later called out. This time it's Taryn Ho with a leadoff knock, a single. Gets someone on the base paths, put pressure on Ohio State. Now it's time for Ayana Shaw to come up. Solid hitter, 362 average and hitting 414 with runners on.
Shaw pulls back the bunt and takes high 1-0. So the first leadoff hitter to stay on base in this game for the Ducks, a single by Taryn Ho. And Lauren Boutte has really been rolling 6 strikeouts of this Oregon order so far. 1-0. Shaw will take a strike lower outside part of the zone to even up the count at 1-1. Another pull back of the bunt by Shaw and another called strike, now 1-2.
You can see that the Buckeyes corners, their first baseman and third baseman, Estrada and Landmesser, playing in to guard against that bunt, but wouldn't have been surprised if Shaw pulled back and tried to swing at it.
1-2. Shaw with a liner caught at second base by Buick. She throws back to first, not in time. But Ayana Shaw lines it right back to the Buckeye second baseman for the first out here in the 5th.
Buick that time had to move just a little bit to her right, but playing pretty much right up the middle, and it was almost right at her. Evans hit as hard as you can hit it, right back up the middle for Shaw. It's a really good swing, but not a good result. It's the first out of the bottom of the 5th.
Didn't have a chance to double off Taryn Ho, so now with a runner on first and 1 out, it's Katie Flannery. And she'll take low and inside. Flannery last inning made an error defensively at third base that allowed the Buckeyes to score their second run of this game. It was a throwing error that would have ended the inning. But instead, Ohio State able to plate another and take a 2-0 advantage. This one in for a strike to Flannery, 1-1.
Looking to possibly make up for it here with a base knock, or to get on base would do big things for the Ducks with the top of the order coming up after her.
1-1 from Boutte. Flannery, base knock into left center field. Taryn Ho will move up 60 feet, stop at second base. And that's a good way to make amends for your error. A 1-out single by Flannery puts 2 on the pond for Oregon.
Puts 2 on the pond for the Ducks. 2 on the pond for their best hitter, and Elon Butler, coming up to the plate. Currently 0 for 1 in the game so far. Hasn't been the results that she or her club have wanted, but hey, it's a chance to turn things around and get the Ducks on the board here with a runner in scoring position.
There'll be a meeting in the circle for Ohio State, and rightfully so, against the dangerous hitter of Elon Butler. Pinch runner comes out of the dugout for Oregon. It's going to be Reagan Legg to run at first for Katie Flannery after the single.
Trying to get some more speed on the base paths with Legg over at first base. Could mean that anything in the gap or down the line could not just bring in 1 run, but possibly 2 with the speed on the base paths. Now for the Ducks. Legg, 6 steals, has only been caught once, has scored 15 runs, primarily as a pinch runner this season.
So the Ducks with the tying run aboard in Reagan Legg, the pinch runner, now on first. Taryn Ho also on second base. Elon Butler up to bat for her third chance at the dish. 0 for 2 today. Butler will watch that one go down low, 1-0.
Butler's 0 for 2 on the day. Struck out back in the first. Reaching on a fielder's choice back in the third. Chance to drive in some runs here.
1-0. And that one twists in for a strike from Boutte, 1-1. Two 2-0 Ohio State, but the tying run on base for the Ducks. 1-1. Butler a shot out to left. Cruz will have a play and make the catch. Strong throw back into third prevents Taryn Ho from tagging up. And a line drive second out off the bat of Elon Butler.
It's a loud out number 2 right there from Butler. Hit pretty hard, but pretty much right at the left fielder Cruz. Only had to move a few steps to her left. Got a pretty good reaction off the bat. Put it away for the second out. It's all in the hands of Kaylin Jones right now with 2 outs, hitting .297 on the year.
Jones takes slow and outside, 1-0. Ohio State defense played in on the infield. Lottie Landmesser in from third and Kiki Estrada in from first. Jones 0 for 2 today with a strikeout back in the first inning against Butte. 1-0. And it's outside now. 2 balls and no strikes. No walks today from Butte, and that's really big because this Oregon team, very good hitting with runners on base, and will make you pay for handing out free passes. 2-0, Jones a liner the other way near the Ducks dugout, foul.
Just got to get on time with that pitch a little bit more. Came in at 64, and Jones just a tad behind it. But if she's able to time it up, could have gotten by the third baseman Landmesser and into the outfield for a hit. Maybe gone down the line for a double.
2-1. That is a strike. Good pitch from Butte. Evens up the count at 2-2.
66 miles per hour and dotting the outside corner from Butte. It's a 2-2 count, even up with 2 outs. Jones got to protect the plate, choking up on the bat.
2-2 just outside, and now the count is full.
Runners are going to be in motion here. Both Leg and Ho going to get a head start, so anything to the outfield might be sure to score a run, but if it gets to the gaps, it's definitely going to score 2 and tie this one up.
3-2. Here's the pitch. Jones grounds it to second base. Buick throw on to first in time to end the inning. Oregon with a little bit more base traffic, but again, unable to score. No runs, 2 hits, no errors by Ohio State, and we're done with 5 full innings. Buckeyes shutting out Oregon as we go along to the 6th. It's 2-0 Ohio State on Big Ten Plus. Top of inning number 6, starting to get late here in Eugene. 2-0 Ohio State with the lead over number 15 Oregon. Pretty good crowd on hand at Jane Sanders Stadium, but really haven't had much to cheer about. It's been the arm in the circle for Ohio State, Lauren Butte, that has shut down the Oregon offense. And the Buckeyes, another chance to add on to their lead middle of the order. Buick, Estrada, and Cullen up to bat against Lindsey Grine.
And talk about how good Butte has been out in the circle. Grine's been pretty solid as well, but right now the Ducks need to make sure that she can get a scoreless inning, get those bats back up to the plate, try to get some runs across to draw it closer.
And going after the first pitch is Buick. She flies it out to shallow left center, where Ayanna Shaw is there to make the grab, 1 away.
Well, we've seen a lot of balls hit in the air for the Buckeyes. Not all of them having too hard of contact. That one a weak fly out to center field. Shaw, pretty easy out for her for the first one of the inning.
Here's Kiki Estrada, who got things started on offense for Ohio State. A long home run to straightaway center made it a 1-0 ball game. That was back in the 4th inning. See how Grine attacks her this time and starts her off with a high swing and a miss, 0-1.
The pitch that Estrada hit out to center field was a high fastball. She was able to turn around it pretty well, and that's a gutsy pitch by Grine with a high fastball attacking early.
0-1 the pitch. That time the off-speed drops in the zone to make it 0-2. Grine 6 strikeouts in this ball game, but none since the 3rd inning. The Buckeyes doing a lot better job second and third time through the order making contact. 0-2, Estrada pokes it the other way down the left field line. Harper, a long run, won't get there. Count remains 0-2.
We know the power that Estrada has at the plate in that last pitch, a fastball. Would not be surprised if Grind tries to change speeds, maybe throw that changeup. That's worked pretty well for her today.
0-2 on Estrada. 1 for 2 in today's ball game. Here's the pitch. It is a little bit off the plate for a ball, 1-2.
Just missed the corner that time. That outside part of the zone has been a little bit inconsistent with Christina Drum behind the plate. Some of those calls out there, maybe not the most consistent, haven't always been able to land.
1-2, another drive to center field. It is another home run. Twice as nice for Kiki Estrada. Home run number 15 on the season. Her second solo shot of this ball game puts Ohio State up 3-0.
1 is good, 2 is even better. That gives the Buckeyes a 3-0 lead. Only their third hit of the day. Estrada gets a pitch that she likes him once again, sends it out to center field. That one put a charge into it. Fan able to make a pretty good snag out there in center field. But it gives the Buckeyes another run and extends their lead to 3-0.
Well, Lindsey Grind taken out of the yard for the second time in this game by the same player. And again, 3-0 Ohio State. Reese Cullen up to bat now. Swing and a miss to make it 1-1. And Matthew, that's something Oregon's head coach Melissa Lombardi talks about, that her team, she says that they're going to give up home runs, and if they are, wants them to be solo shots. But the way that this Oregon offense has been performing through the first 5 innings makes the mountain a little bit taller to climb getting into the later stages of this game.
Yeah, and you need your offense to really start to catch fire in the middle innings. We're in the 6th here. Oregon hasn't been able to plate across anything so far, and with a 3-0 lead, it's getting pretty tough for them to come back. They're going to have to put together really good innings here. Maybe they can plate across 3 or 4, tie it up, or take the lead in the 6th, but it's going to be a pretty tall order, like you said.
Ducks out hitting the Buckeyes 5-3, but all 3 hits for Ohio State have been extra base hits. Ducks with 5 singles. As that one's outside to Cullen, now 2-2.
And that just kind of tells the story between these two teams on offense. Ohio State really likes to slug and hit the long ball, whereas for the Ducks, it's a little bit more station-to-station hitting.
2-2. Cullen strikes out swinging. Grind back in the K column, picks up her 7th of the night against Ohio State, and now that's the 2nd out here in the 6th.
That's the best way you want to respond to a home run, is get a strikeout. Gives you some confidence out in the circle, and for Grind, 1 out away from escaping the 6th. This now makes it 3 innings in a row that the Buckeyes have put runs up on the board.
There's Lottie Landmesser. 0 for 2 in this game. And an off-speed comes in, a strike from Grind, 0-1. Ducks have a 12-game winning streak on the line. Down 3-0 to Ohio State with just 6 more outs to work with. Landmesser will take a pitch, this time to North, 1-1.
Starting to hear it a little bit more and more from the Ducks fans here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Not too happy with some of these calls being made behind the plate.
Swing and a miss to make it 1-2. The last time the Ducks dropped a game was back in late March. March 26th, the first of 3 against the Northwestern Wildcats. The Ducks lost 11-3 in 6 innings. Oregon undefeated in the month of April. Won the next 2 against Northwestern as Landmesser goes down on strikes. And that will be all. Lindsey Grind, a confident bounce back after allowing the home run by Kiki Estrada, her 2nd of this game, makes it 3-0 Ohio State. Bottom of the 6th inning coming up next from Jane Sanders Stadium here on Big Ten Plus. 3-0 Ohio State as we enter into the bottom of the 6th inning. Amari Harper up to bat to lead it off for the Ducks, and as we mentioned before, a recipient of the golden ticket in the AUSL. Matthew, what does that mean for Amari Harper?
Well, it means that she's going to basically be an auto bid to be selected upcoming in the draft. But right now, what it means for her in this situation, try to get on, try to get something started for the Ducks. We're in the last 2 innings of this one. The Ducks want to get something started. It starts with her at the plate.
It'll be Harper followed by Cox and Maake, the scheduled 3 for Oregon. Count is now 1-1. A really nice job in the circle so far by Lauren Boutte. Entered this game with a 6.52 ERA. She's since then lowered it to 6.08. Harper fouls it back to the screen, now 1-2.
Harper's 1 for 2 on the day. That's one of those 5 singles that the Ducks have. All 5 of those singles, the only hits for Oregon so far throughout this contest.
One and two. High. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Obviously, Oregon with 2 more innings to flip the script, but the last time the Ducks lost a game wasn't until March 26th. The last time the Ducks were shut out came early in the season back in February. 2-2, Harper a swing and a miss. Boutte has it working. K number 7 of her outing. That's the first out here in the 6th.
Fastball at 64 miles per hour, able to get the swing and miss from Harper. It's a big first out, especially with the heart of the Ducks order up to the plate this inning. Brings up Emma Cox, number 4 hitter. Made some pretty good contact, lined out to second her first at bat, then flew out to left. See if she can barrel one up here.
Cox caught it off the end of the bat. It'll be playable in center field as Lamone makes the grab for out number 2. But to finish off that point, the last time the Ducks were shut out was early in the season, February 7th, back in Clearwater, Florida. Oregon fell to Tennessee 2-0 behind a complete game shutout by Carlin Pickens, who really, when you're facing her, that's not the worst result in the world. Pickens, one of the best pitchers in the nation, but Lauren Boutte, 4 outs away from finishing this thing now. Here comes Stephanie Maake up to bat now. And time will be called before this at-bat can commence.
Maake's 1 for 2 on the day. Had the single all the way back in the 2nd inning, which was later called out on over at second base. Trying to keep the inning alive with 2 outs.
Maake with a drive out to center, but right in the area of Lamone, who comes in on the charge and snags it for out number 3. Now 5 straight batters have been retired in order by Lauren Boutte, and that concludes the 6th inning. Final frame coming up here at Jane Sanders Stadium. Buckeyes 3, Ducks nothing when we return on Big Ten Plus. Top of the 7th inning, 3-0. Ohio State with the lead over Oregon, and the Buckeyes looking for some more insurance. They'll have 8, 9, and 1 due up against Lindsey Grine. It'll be Izzy Neal, Skylar Lamone, and Hadley Parisian. Fans shouting. Shout being played here at Jane Sanders Stadium, but Matthew, so far Ohio State not giving them a lot to shout about.
Not a whole lot to shout about, like you said, Aiden. It's been 6 scoreless frames for the Ducks. Meanwhile, for Ohio State, 3 innings in a row where they've scored.
Izzy Neal fouls the first pitch off to make it 0-1. And Lindsey Grine kept her team in the ball game, but really, she's only allowed 3 hits, but all of them have been big ones for Ohio State. 2 of them solo shots off the bat of Kiki Estrada in innings number 4 and 6. 0-1. And that's a strike to Neal, now 0-2. The other hit, the middle hit of those 3, was a 2-out double by Skylar Lamone that got a 2-out rally started for Ohio State. They were able to scratch out an unearned run in the 6th inning. 0-2. Bounces in and outside to Neal. Ball and 2 strikes.
Got a defensive replacement here. Substitution. Addison Amaral comes in for Riley McCoy over at first base. Elise Crescio also out in left field now, coming in for Ayanna Shaw.
1-2. This one off the end of the bat. A diving stop by Ho. She gets to her feet, throws to first, not in time. Kind of stumbled trying to get up with the ball in her glove, and by the time she zipped it over to first, not in time to get the speedy Neal, and it's an infield single for Ohio State.
Yeah, slap hitters, their whole job is to get the ball on the ground for the most part and use their speed to get on base. A really good job that time by Neal doing exactly that. Got a correction. Instead of Harper being in left field, or Shaw, like I said, Shaw stays in center, and it's Harper that gets replaced by Crescio.
Well, it's Crescio in left, Shaw in center, Butler remains in right. Leadoff hitter on for the Buckeyes. Now Lamone will take a first pitch ball, 1-0.
Got some speed on the bases with Neal. 12 stolen bases on the year, only been caught once.
Off speed by Grine will catch a piece, now 1-1. Matthew, this is a big inning for the Ducks. You need to keep this lead right where it's at. Ducks will have the bottom of the order when we go to the bottom of the 7th. Swinging a foul ball at the dish, now 1-2.
Especially with a hitter like Lamone up, hitting .383 coming into this at-bat, and with runners on, hitting .375. Especially as we're in the last inning of this one at the top of the 7th. Really important to put a 0 up on the board in this top of the frame.
Lamone with a wave and a miss. Foul tipped into the mitt of Emma Cox. She holds on behind the dish, and it's strikeout number 9 on the game for Lindsey Grine.
It's been a really solid day out in the circle for Grine. It's just that her offense hasn't been able to back her up. But like you said, Aiden, her 8th punch-out of the game. She's given up 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, and those 2 earned only coming off those 2 solo shots from Kiki Estrada.
On top of the order, Hadley Parisian up to bat. And she'll take down low, 1-0.
Parisian's 0 for 1 on the day, but reached base with 2 walks, 1 back in the 3rd and 1 back in the 5th.
Off speed in for a strike, 2-1. Swinging a fly ball left field side, angling out of play. It'll land near the Ducks bullpen now, 2-2.
Important pitch coming up. Would not be surprised if Grine's going to try to put something in the lower part of the zone, try to get a ground ball, especially with the power of Parisian up at the plate. 18 bombs on the year. Don't want to leave something up in the zone.
2-2. Parisian takes at the letters upstairs, now 3-2. Another close pitch by Grind.
Seen a few close pitches today that just could kind of go either way.
3-2 pitch. Swung on and rolled over to first, but a foul ball fielded by Amaral to the right of the line. We'll do it again.
Not be surprised with a 3-2 count. Usually runners go in that count when there's 2 outs, but would not be surprised to see Neal go, try to stay out of a double play.
Payoff is swung on and missed, and now taken off to second and getting there safely is Neal. And Cox was kind of unaware of the 3-2 run by Neal. She's able to get into second after the stolen base, but Parisian is down on strikes. That is a double-digit number, 10th strikeout of the night now for Grind.
Yeah, looked like on that one, Emma Cox was just a little slow to get up out of her crouch, trying to throw out Neal, but it's a strikeout, second out of the inning for the Ducks. 1 out away from getting the bats back up to the plate, trying to keep this one alive, maybe tie it, possibly get a walk-off win, but got to get the last out of this top half of the frame here.
And the Ducks are going to challenge to see if Neal left first base early on the steal attempt. And Matthew, if she did, she would be out.
Be a pretty unconventional double play. Try to take a look at this one. It could be a big moment for Oregon. See the throw down clearly in time, and it just
hit Neal right in the face.
Yeah, right in the head. That cannot be fun. That's the reason why you have that face mask on right there on your helmet. Because of that, it's really, dependent on, hey, did she leave first base early? That's what they're looking at. Pretty quick review from the officials.
And we'll see about this one. So it's either a stolen base for Ohio State and a runner on second with 2 outs, or the inning is going to be over. And there you have it. Though Neal left on time, steals second base, and gets herself into scoring position now with 2 outs for Abby Wilhelm. Another big spot for Ohio State to drive in a run. Ducks, after losing the challenge, have 1 remaining. Grind has done well against the sophomore slugger of Ohio State. And she'll take a pitch at the bottom of the zone for a strike, 0-1.
Wilhelm hitting close to 400 with 2 outs on the season, 395 average in this spot, and with runners on, 338. Runners in scoring position, 389.
And that's another strike, 0-2. Grind struck her out twice in the first inning and also in the third. She can get her here. It would be number 11 on the day for Grind. Oh-2. Wilhelm. A loop shot out to left. Crescio on the run makes the catch. Nice play by the defensive replacement. That's why you're in there. Elise Crescio. Good play with a glove. Ends the top of the 7th inning. We'll go to the bottom half. Ducks with their last chance at the dish. Down to Ohio State, 3-0. We return from Jane Sanders Stadium right here on Big Ten Plus. Last chance for Oregon here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 3-0 Ohio State. And the Ducks will have Addison Amaral, Taryn Ho, and Ayanna Shaw 6, 7, and 8 in their order. Amaral getting her first at-bat of the night, was originally set to start this game, but Riley McCoy hit in her place the last 2 at-bats. So Amaral will lead things off for Oregon here in the bottom of the 7th. Lauren Boutte in the circle on the other side for Ohio State, looking for the complete game shutout. Amaral takes up and away. For Lauren Boutte, she has not gone this deep into a game since February 20th of 2026. She went the full 7 innings in a loss to Delaware and took the loss in that game. Gave up just 2 runs in that contest to the Blue Hens. Now 1-1 on Amaral.
It's a big spot for the Ducks right here, especially with the bottom half of the order due up 6, 7, and 8. Like you said, Aiden, all starts with Amaral. Can she get the Oregon offense started here in the bottom of the 7th?
Amaral to center field. Lamone's been busy tonight and makes another catch, ranging all the way into the right center field gap. She has it for out number 1.
It's a pretty big out number 1. The leadoff runner for the Ducks could have been some momentum, but right there, Amaral just not able to get it to land. Lined right out to center field. Lamone with a pretty easy catch. Like you said, Aiden, been pretty busy out there today.
And now Taryn Ho, 1 for 2 in this ball game. Swings at the first pitch, fouls it off herself, 0-1. The Ducks have had a little flair for the dramatic this season. In a game against Iowa a couple of weekends ago, was the Saturday game, Oregon against Iowa. The Ducks trailed by 4 runs going into the bottom of the 7th. They scored 4 to send it into extras at 13-13. They then walked it off in the bottom of the 8th. 0-1, Ho a grounder, over to third. Landmusser has it, throws on to first, and it's in time. 2 up, 2 down, and Ohio State 1 out away from snapping Oregon's 12-game win streak.
Be a big win for the Buckeyes. Get this series started off on the right foot. Like we mentioned for them, these last 2 series of the season, it's all about getting these big wins. Starts in this series versus Oregon and then continues into next weekend against Washington. But a win here would be a start in the right direction for them, maybe get better seeding heading into the Big Ten tournament.
So last chance for Oregon, it's Ayanna Shaw. Lauren Boutte, outing for the ages if she can get 1 more out. Pitch to Shaw, swung on and missed.
For Shaw, it's just about keeping things alive for the Ducks. Don't need to do anything too big. Don't need to be a hero. Just keeping the game alive and getting on base is all that's needed.
3-0 Ohio State. 0-1 to Shaw. Swinging a bouncer to shortstop. Wilhelm to first. It is over. Ohio State comes to Eugene. The Buckeyes blank the Ducks. 3-0 the final score. And they snap Oregon's 12-game win streak. Ducks drop just their 3rd game in conference play. What a win for the Buckeyes.
Oregon's last loss was all the way back in March 26th. They finally lose one here. A big win for Ohio State, snapping the 12-game win streak that the Ducks had, and it's a good start to the weekend for the Buckeyes, especially against such a tough opponent in the Ducks. It's really important to get that first game of the series.
OHIO. Ohio State, a 3-0 winner over Oregon. The Buckeyes, 3 runs on 4 hits, 1 error. They left 5 on base. Oregon, no runs on